What's going on, Five Family? Episode 4 of Gloved Up. I'm your host, Ryan Aarons, as always, and welcome back. We were away there for a while, but we're back now. Sorry about that. I know y'all missed my UFC news so much, but welcome back. It's good to be back. You know, we have a big card today, actually, that we're going to talk about a little bit. Hopefully, win y'all some money with some predictions. Hey, by the way, Gloved Up 6-0, baby. Let's keep it going. Let's a good times roll, huh? So we're gonna start with a little bit of housekeeping. Obviously, we had a whole week. I think actually 2 weeks go by with that episode, so I'm here to address that. I got sick. We're healthy now. You know, we're gonna get back rolling regularly, but we are gonna change the show times. Show times are gonna be Tuesday and Friday. I might do something special on Mondays following a big card, just a little recap, maybe a short episode there. But the first episode of the week is going to come out on Tuesday. It's going to be towards the evening time. Fridays are going to be towards midday around 2, just because I only work a half day on Friday and I'm able to get in and get a show up. The Tuesday show will just better chances of me catching all the Monday fallout from a card. Will just be a better show for y'all in general. Get the news in, get, like I said, any fallout, any late retirement announcements, maybe any changes to the next week's event. And then the Friday show will kind of catch all the news throughout the week, any last minute pullouts of fights, the weigh-ins, something might happen, any injuries, any news going around the MMA world. And also it'll give me a chance to hype up the fight appropriately. It won't be too early to where you forget about what I have to say, and it won't be too late like, honestly, today's show will be, but, some hype, and then obviously the picks before the fight, big money opportunities. If you just follow along with Biff Daddy has to say, he'll lead you to a heavier wallet. We're 6-0, baby. We're 6-0. Come on, listen to what I have to tell you, okay? I'm trying to help you. That's all I'm here for. I'm just trying to help you. Okay. Big card. I mean, UFC 288. We finally have the return of Triple C, Henry Cejudo against Aljamain Sterling. That's going to be a huge highlight for us here today. Bilal Muhammad versus Gilbert Burns. This one's going to be a banger. A wrestler versus jiu-jitsu artist who they both can throw hands, as we've seen. Seen Bilal throw some hands there. Jessica Andrade versus Jan. Kind of a weird female fight for me, if we're being honest. Not a whole lot of implications on the line. They're both in the strawweight division. Both are really good, outstanding fighters, great records. But I don't know what I'm seeing in the rankings here for them, but we'll talk about it. The return of Con Gracie versus Jordan. Again, just kind of like two decent fighters. Gracie making like I think a 3-year return to the ring after that absence. And then Jordan's no slouch, but I mean, not a whole lot of implications there. We'll talk about that. And then the fight that has just been all over the place, Masvidal versus Diego Lopez, supposed to be Bryce Mitchell, and we'll talk about why he's absent from that fight and from the card altogether. So straight away, let's just get into Aljo versus Henry. I mean, we've been hearing about this fight for months now. It all started with Henry barking like a dog at Sean O'Malley, just trying to get something going. He ended up jumping over O'Malley straight into a title fight. He has said for a while now that either Aljo or Sean O'Malley or even Merab would have been easy money for him. Well, now he has a chance to finally put his money where his mouth is. Let's not forget, though, that Henry Cejudo is a returning champion. He never lost a championship fight while he was defending anyway. Of course, he had some early losses against Demetrius Johnson back in the day. But let's not forget that he was a 2-division champ. I think he was either the second or third person to do it behind Conor and I think DC. Just an outstanding champion in both. And I want to correct myself. It was flyweight and bantamweight. But now he's gearing up towards a bantamweight and featherweight double champ run. And I think he even talked about lightweight. But again, we need to see him defeat Aljo before anything. I mean, he's jumping two great. I don't know when Merab became number one, But Sean O'Malley's sitting here number 2. Merab's sitting at number 1. Even Corey Sandhagen at 3. I mean, he's jumping the line. But I guess a returning champion, deservedly so. So, and also remember, Aljo won the title in the first place over a DQ versus Petr Yan. And if I'm being 100% honest, if Petr Yan doesn't knee Aljo in the face, Petr Yan's still champion. Maybe even Merab. There was just no one at that time that was at the striking level of Petr Yan. Petr Yan was a great counter wrestler, very, very technical with the submissions. He was just putting people out, outlasting people in most cases. But I do think Aljo was a false champion there for a while, and I didn't like his performance against Petr Yan in his title defense. I thought, he was a great wrestler. He really took advantage of Petr Yan's stiffness early, because Petr Yan's, that tank that takes, but he's a good reader and great mid-fight adjuster. I think Aljamain took advantage of that and won rounds 1 through 3 comfortably. He might have 3. It's really hard to remember that fight because it was so long ago. But I think round 3 was even a bit of a draw. But he outlasted Petr Yan, became the best backpack in the UFC, kind of held on to him for 3-4 rounds there, danced around in the championship rounds, avoided taking any damage, any big shots, and then retained. This, for me, is Aljamain's probably first and could be his last real stiff championship matchup. I mean, Henry is no joke, guys. Henry Cejudo was the double champ for a reason. I think because he took 3 years off that people forgot about Triple C. Cejudo, even though he's corny, cheesy, really annoying, he's the one that coached up John Jones back to who he is now. John Jones shared camp with Henry Cejudo and actually took advice from Henry Cejudo the entire time he was in camp. Henry is the real effing deal. Hasn't changed. Will never change. He's also an Olympic champ, guys. He is, pound for pound, probably the best wrestler America has ever produced and might ever produce. Outside of, I know Kurt Angle won Olympic gold and DC did well in the Olympics, but Henry Cejudo, for what he's done for combat sports, could be the GOAT. I mean, you could argue Demetrius Johnson or John Jones, but Henry Cejudo, guys, is no joke. In saying all that, Henry Cejudo is a better wrestler, guys. And in this game, as we've seen time and time and time again, the better wrestler that can hold their own in stand-up will win. 9 out of 10 fights go to the ground unless people have like an unspoken agreement, let's just stand and bang. 9 out of 10 times the fight goes to the ground within the first round. And then you see from that point who has the mental and physical advantage. For me, when I'm looking at a fight and I'm looking at a wrestler versus a striker, or even wrestler versus wrestler, whoever has that first thorough takedown, not like a half one at the end of the round where it's 10 seconds left. I'm talking like gets him down and puts him there for 2 minutes, kind of imposes a little bit of will. That person has the mental edge the rest of the fight. And for me, what I've seen and what I know, 9 times out of 10, that first takedown dictates the rest of the pace, the spirit of both fighters, and the mental and physical advantage of the fighter with that takedown. I think whoever gets the first real takedown in this fight, or even the first real, just thorough counter takedown, has the advantage going forward. If Henry Cejudo can prevent Aljo from becoming another human backpack, I think we'll see something. Let's talk about Aljo. Again, super effective that we've seen, just finding the back of the opponent, staying there, making life miserable, putting them in a body triangle, just really absorbing the life, almost like a cell in Dragon Ball Z, just absorbing people's energy and then just taking them for a ride the rest of the fight, running around the ring, pot jabs, just real energy draining fighting style there. He's a problem. I mean, this will be a real challenge for Henry. I just think Henry's up for it, guys. I think Henry's up for this challenge. This is going to be a great main event, or has the potential to be a great main event, one of the greater ones we've seen in the last year. I think it's going to go all five. I just don't see a finish here. Even though Henry's got the power in those tiny fists, Aljo's no slouch when it comes to stand up either. I just think these guys are. I think we're looking at a wrestling match, guys. I don't know. We might see some kicks, some fists thrown, but I think we're seeing a lot of wrestling, a lot of attempted ground and pound. There will be blood. I can guarantee you that there will be blood in this fight. Again, it might come down to fists. These guys are also, for their wrestling pedigree, they're also great counter wrestlers. They both stuff takedowns very well. Will it come down to fists? I don't know. I really don't. But I think we're looking at a wrestling match, which I'm not afraid of. I love a good wrestling match. I think they're very exciting. As opposed to most of those crowds you see in the arena who are booing good wrestling. I admire great wrestling. I love technique. I love seeing two championship wrestlers going at it. I love the chess match that goes on. I love the mental game. Gosh, this is a main event that you really don't want to miss, guys. If you're a UFC fan and you're an MMA fan, this is a main event that you don't want to miss. This fight is going to be epic. It's going to be long. I don't see a finish here. And just to back that up, I mean, obviously John Jones did it, but championship challengers coming off of a big layover normally don't come out with enough pop in them to get the finish. We've seen this time and time again. I think John Jones will always be an exception to every MMA and a UFC rule and pattern that we've ever seen because he's John Jones. I think Cyril Gahn had a lot to do with that early finish because of how bad he was of a wrestler. Probably still is. Who knows what that guy's doing? John Jones is the exception to that rule. I also love how he went straight up to number one pound for pound, but we'll talk about that probably next episode. I think we're going to do a thorough pound for pound breakdown next episode, but that's just ridiculous, even for John Jones. Okay, moving on. This episode's going to be quick, guys. Just trying to get back into it, get a pattern. We're going to go straight into the main card. Belal versus Burns. Holy shit. Finally, Belal gets his fight, right? After all that smack talk off of, oh, I deserve this. Dana's doing me wrong. He's just a Belal hater. Speaking about himself in the third person. What a freak. We finally get Belal back in the octagon after how many months? To be honest, I'm not a Belal hater, but I'm not his biggest fan. To me, he's a guy who is just super wavy as a fighter. He wins and he loses. He's on a win streak right now. A few finishes sprinkled in there. Not a bad boxer, mainly a wrestler, just almost like a bigger version of Aljo, just a life-sucking force in the octagon. Once he has your back, he weighs on you. He tries to beat you up. He tries to be sneaky with some sub attempts. Just whatever he can do to win a round, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Guys, I'm not a wrestling to win a round hater. Like I said, I love a good wrestling match. I just don't see any pop with Belal. There's no flair. With Gilbert Burns, you don't know what you're going to get. I've seen Gilbert Burns knock people out. I've seen him choke people out. I've seen him wrestle all fight. He is one of the most dynamic welterweights we've ever seen. But what does he have to win this fight? I don't know what it's going to take. Belal's really tough, guys. I mean, I think he's been knocked out by strikes twice, or maybe 3 times in his whole career in the UFC. He's a tough guy. Gilbert Burns is tough too. Like I said, I'm actually a big Gilbert Burns fan. However, there are weaknesses in Gilbert Burns' game when it comes to someone who knows how to throw a punch back. We saw this with Kamaru Usman. We saw this with Khamzat Chimaev. Gilbert Burns takes big shots and takes them too often. He gets put on his butt a lot and then gets finished. He didn't get finished versus Khamzat, but there was chances there, 2 of them in that fight, where Khamzat could have really, really effed up Gilbert Burns' face. Gilbert Burns is on a 3-fight win streak right now, though. Let's talk about right now. Gilbert Burns has finished his last 3 opponents. What's Bilal done? Won by decision. Decision. Gilbert Burns is on a hot streak, guys. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Well, let's just make sure. Bilal Muhammad, right here. In 2022, he does have 1 KO against Sean Brady. Excuse me. Let me make sure. But guys, that was last year. And that was in October of last year. And his most recent fight was over a year ago. And that was Vicente Luque, where he was kind of getting his ass beat in and out of that fight. Excuse me for cussing. That fight went all 5 rounds, and he got punished, you know. Let's see. Oh, yeah, he lost no contest draw to Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards whooped him that whole fight back in 2021. Canceled versus Diego Lima. Canceled versus Lehman Good. Those fights would have been really good. He ended up beating Lehman Good by decision in 2020. 2019, submission against a lesser, decision against a lesser, and lost to Jeff Neal. That was back when Jeff Neal was just clanging and banging folks. You know, Bilal really doesn't have an impressive resume, guys. Just want to let you know. I'm looking through it again. Decision. Yeah, I knew I remembered Vicente Luque. He ended up getting his revenge against him, but got knocked out by him first. Yeah, his record just doesn't impress me. Decision win against Stephen Thompson. He wrestled Stephen Thompson to death. Again, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Leon Edwards beat the shit out of him. Yeah. Knockout against Sean Brady. And Vicente Luque, decision. Yeah. I don't know, guys. Bilal's record is just not that impressive to me. I don't know. He's his biggest hype man. I'm not a Bilal hater. I'll reiterate that again. But let's look at Gilbert Burns' record. Just for shits and giggles, right? So in 2023 alone, 2 wins, 1 submission against Neil Magny, round 1, nasty. First 45 seconds. Are you kidding me? And then decision win versus Jorge Masvidal. He beat the brakes off of Jorge Masvidal for 3 rounds, guys. Decision loss against Khamzat Chimaev, which is the biggest waste of Gilbert Burns' time. Decision against Stephen Thompson, and then that knockout, that terrible last round knockout versus Kamaru Usman, or round 3, sorry. Knockout versus Damian Maia, decision over Tyron Woodley. I mean, this resume. Win over Gunnar Nelson, which he is not an easy fight anymore, by the way. That Danish, oh my gosh, he's incredible. Decision against Alexei Kuchenko. Decision over submission over Mike Davis. He lost to Dan Hooker early on in his career, 2018. I mean, anyway, guys, Gilbert Burns' resume is just mightily impressive. That's gonna be a great fight. That's gonna be a great fight, guys. Not gonna give away my prediction just yet. All right, Jessica Andrade versus Jan. I don't want to mispronounce this last name. Let me not be ignorant. Let me get back here. Jan Xiaonan. Please don't butcher me in the comments. Xiaonan. Jan Xiaonan. Guys, is Jessica Andrade fighting too much? This is her 3rd fight in 5 months. This is kind of ridiculous for Jessica Andrade. I don't know what tear she's trying to get out on. So she fought in February. Yeah, so she fought in back-to-back months. Now she's fighting again in May. What is she doing? 2 flyweight and now dropping back down to strawweight. What is she trying to prove to herself? Lauren Murphy's never an easy fight. Beat the brakes off of Lauren Murphy. Goes in against Erin Blanchfield and looks like a bum. Now she's trying to go back down in weight and prove herself against Yao Shannon. Jessica Andrade, what are you doing? We need to see you stick to a weight class and succeed there. I think she got beat so bad by Erin Blanchfield that she lost confidence in herself again. Because remember, she was coming off of a couple wins there. Yeah, I remember she beat Amanda Lima so bad. And she's like, okay. Yeah, and her only loss in recent history other than Erin Blanchfield is a title fight to Valentina Shevchenko. Who doesn't lose that fight? Who doesn't lose that fight? I mean, and Jessica Andrade is a knockout artist, guys. Knockout, decision, knockout, decision. That loss, submission. Gosh. But I just think she's fought 34 fights too, guys. She's an older fighter. She's playing with her weight too much for my liking. Again, I'm a huge fan, but I just need her to regain her confidence in one weight class and stay there. I think if she wins this fight in strawweight, she needs to stay there. But Yan Xiaonan is not a scumbag. She is a winner. Again, I mean, she lost to Marina Rodriguez. That's not a bad loss. Marina Rodriguez is a great fighter. She lost to Carla Esparza. I mean, she's got some good quality wins here. Beat Angela Hill. Angela Hill's no slouch. I mean, she's not a bum. Her recent loss is Marina Rodriguez. And Marina Rodriguez, I think, is in for a title fight. Maybe not. I need to check that. But Yan Xiaonan is not nobody, you know. This will be an interesting one for the strawweight division. I think if Jessica loses this, she is in for a complete, ego breakdown. I think Jessica actually really needs to win this fight because this will be back-to-back losses and then stuck in between divisions. She won't know where to go next. I think Yan Xiaonan has done fairly well at strawweight. I don't think she ever intends to leave. She's 16-3 in strawweight. I think this is her division. So this will be interesting. This will be an interesting one. But moving on quickly to Gracie versus Jordan. What are we doing here? This is just a tune-up fight for Gracie, in my opinion. I don't have a whole lot to say. Gracie's back after a 3-year absence. Jordan's not really impressive. Again, I think this is a tune-up fight just to get Gracie back in good standing. Charles Jordan, coming off of one win in his last... 3 wins in his last 6. 3 wins in his last 7. Yeah, I think this is a Kron Gracie tune-up. He's 5-1. Kron Gracie, excuse me. But he looked very disinterested at the press conference. He didn't have a whole lot to say. He was just there. He looked terrible. He made weight. Featherweight fight. I don't know. I think this was a main card filler. And then just moving on quickly from that. The prelim to watch for. Dober versus Frevola. These two guys right here are very, very seldom talked about, but are the knockout artists of their division right now. It's quite honestly insane. And they're both last, I did the math earlier. 12 fights, over 50% were knockouts. What's that going to say? I mean, this is insane. What are we doing with this card on the prelims? I mean, these guys are about to clang and bang. I'm really excited for this. This is the prelim fight to watch. This has fight of the night potential. Depending on how the main goes, This has fight of the night potential. Mark my words. Quote me. Write it down. Drew Dober versus Matt Frevola. It has fight of the night potential. It's gonna be pretty sick. All right, guys. We've arrived. It's time to make some money with Swole Daddy. Are we ready? I'm excited. I have bets too. So, like I said, we're 6-0, baby. Let's ride that hype train till it crashes. Let's go. Let's start from the bottom, work our way up. Just talked very briefly on the Drew Dober, Matt Frevola fight. Again, these guys are KO artists. They know how to throw. They both have somewhat impressive resumes and who they've knocked out. Drew Dober's knocked out Bobby Green, guys. I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? I got Dober by knockout. Let's just lock that in. I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. It could go either way. Both of them are very hard punchers, but that iron chin of Drew is just going to hold firm for me. I got Drew Dober by KO. Lock in the prop or lock in money line. He is favored, so you are going to have to bet a little more to make it worth it. A fight that I didn't really talk about, but you just need to lock in anyway if you're doing a parlay, is the Mavsar decision. The dude has won 16 out of 16 by decision, or 15 out of 16. He has an 84% chance of victory according to most bettors. He's against a lesser opponent in Diego Lopez. This was because Bryce Mitchell hurt his back in training camp, and Dana just had to throw somebody in there. I think Diego Lopez is 6-0, but again, Mavsar just weighs on people. It's a 3-rounder, nothing super serious on the main, no high implications. Mavsar is number 10, and Diego is unranked, so anyone has a puncher's chance in MMA, guys, but Mavsar is just a way-on-you machine. I think he would have beaten Bryce Mitchell. Mavsar was a lock for me for a parlay anyway. So Mavsar decision just to get you a little extra cash there. I think it was $5 to win 55 cents though. So, I mean, he's like 1,000 to 1 or whatever that math is favorite. You're going to have to bet heavy to win on him. But just to really earn you extra money there, the Mavsar fight is on the table. I got Gracie by decision. I just don't believe Jordan has anything in the tank for Gracie. I think Gracie's going to come in ready. Even with a 3-year layoff, he's got a chance. He's 5-1 in the featherweight division. Jourdain hasn't done anything for me in that division. I just think Gracie comes in and holds up to the name. You could go Gracie prop to win by submission if you really want to boost your odds there in like a parlay situation. I know that was like plus 240 Gracie by decision. That wouldn't be bad to lock in. It is a 3-round fight, so he does have 15 minutes to like lock in a heel hook or some kind of triangle. But Gracie by decision, guys, for me. Andrade finish. I know I just got done talking major crap about Jessica Andrade, but this chick has some of the best boxing outside of Zhang Weili or Valentina Shevchenko that I've ever seen. She beats people up, guys. Jan's a great fighter. Xiaonan, I just think Andrade comes in there hot. I think she could take her out in the first. I guess that may be just me, but I'm a big Jessica Andrade fan. Again, she also needs to win. She needs to find a homestead weight class where she can plant her roots again and just go for one last title shot. She's fought 34 fights. She has the experience. I think she comes in throwing haymakers. Give me Andrade by finish. Bilal versus Gilbert. What a fight. Man, Bilal's a great wrestler, guys, but I'm going to give Burns the edge. I think Burns comes in just as the child of destiny at this point. He's on a heater. I just believe in Burns more than I do Bilal. I just Burns is going to be flashy. He might take a little more risk, and I think they'll pay off. I think Burns hits harder than Bilal, even though Bilal might be technically the better boxer. I think Burns has a chance to finish, but I took Burns' decision. I just think I think it's safe to go Burns' decision because Bilal is such a good wrestler as well that we could see this fight just elongate on the ground where no fighter's taking real damage. But I do think Burns edges him maybe early by throwing some heavier shots early and then just defending, winning points by defending. So give me Burns' decision. All right, guys, the main event. Who do you have? I know I have. Again, both these fighters, great wrestlers. This is going to be a great wrestling match. I think it comes down to that, actually. I know I asked earlier, will it come down to fists or will it be a wrestling match? I think we're in for a wrestling match. I think Henry is the better counter wrestler and just the better wrestler. I think he secures that first takedown defense as well as the more important first takedown. So I got Henry by decision, guys. I think that 3-year layoff will do something to his boxing. Again, you can't take 3 years off of competitive boxing and still come out and expect to knock somebody out. Aljo's too squirmy to go down by submission. I think he's too well versed in his own game of being the backpack, to take the back, to be sneaky, to lock in a body triangle. I don't think he falls for any of that. I do think Henry lands some good shots, but nothing strong enough to knock him out. That would actually surprise the hell out of me if Cejudo knocks out Aljo or makes him give up to strikes or a TKO. I think Aljo is also a little squirmy on his feet, but give me Henry by decision. I think the former champ outlasts the champ. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been your first episode back on Gloved Up, episode 4. Keep hanging with us, guys. Let me win you money, and let me help educate you on fighting knowledge. Peace. Have a good weekend.